Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AIM Impact on Your Health. AIM Impact on Your Health for every day. Our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AIM Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AIM Impact on Your Health, where each day you will find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, well, it's sort of the first show after the return of just a wonderful conference. We were down in Dallas, Texas. It was the annual conference of the ozone therapy clinicians throughout the United States. They meet each and every year in Dallas the first weekend after Thanksgiving. Don't know why they said it that way. Nonetheless, a great opportunity to be reinvigorated with the ozone spirit, hearing from clinicians worldwide making their contributions from their own personal practices and researches to the entire body of doctors who do that work. Now, I just thought I'd always spend some time recapping you what I believe to be the highlights of the Ozone Conference and give you an opportunity to sort of get a flavoring for what's happening out there. It's all good, folks, all very good. And so we'll spend today talking about the Ozone Conference report, letting you know by virtue of it what's up and coming here on our show and here in the office. Ozone has had a prominent place, a prominent role to play since we originally met Dr. Frank Schallenberger many, many months ago. But Frank, who's at the head of the heap now, he's the guy who is a chief investigator, and it's certainly his conference. He was quite proud of the number of people who responded. I don't think they're going to be able to hold it at this particular venue much anymore. They're just, he's burgeoning at the seams, folks. There is intense interest out there. We'll be talking about ozone therapy today and giving you the update on all that. Now, in the course of our conversation on ozone, you may seize the opportunity at any time, as you know you can do, to come on in here and set the agenda as you'd like to make it. The number to do that, as you should know by now, is to dial us up at 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. It's no interruption. If it's on your mind, it will soon become on ours, and see if we can be enriched by the interchange. Now, the scheduling of these guests, and I think that's a proper way to look at this. I have an entire litany of people who want to come on the radio show, but of course they had to go back home to get their schedule. They had no idea what their schedules were, what openings they had. So this calendar of ours is going to fill up quite rapidly. I'll let you know as we ink the guests. I'll give you an idea of who these up-and-coming guests will be. Some of you already know, are known by you. Others are brand new folks who've just come onto the ozone radar screen. Anyway, a lot of benefit to our show, to our office, to our practice, and the use of ozone therapy from the Ozone Conference 2015 held in Dallas, Texas, and look forward to bringing you up to speed today. Now, things up and coming here. Today marks a milestone for another reason. We've been doing frequency-specific microcurrent, well, as part of our eye program now for a long time. It was Dr. Edward Conrad who brought the whole concept of treating the eye with microcurrent, and from it came these 3-day treatment programs with just unbelievable results and improvements in 3 days. Now, I get very comfortable with that because I just thought the two went hand in hand. If you had an eye disease, there was a microcurrent program, by the way, developed by Dr. Ed Conrad himself, that seemed to get your condition back to normal. And in these cases, these were medical conditions that had no real treatment in the conventional world. Well, frequency-specific microcurrent has come front and center. We're using it for all issues now. In particular, chronic pain issues you need to know that our newly established participant, Dr. Richard Finn. Richard Finn's going to be our in the office. He starts today. We've got him lined up with seeing patients each and every day. He's there 2 days a week on Mondays and Thursdays. But if you think you have a yearning to find out if frequency-specific microcurrent can rescue you from your particular medical challenge, give us a call and we'll get you signed up to see Richard and myself. We're going to be doing this in collaboration, and it marks a major milestone to have Richard here. He's been working with this for over 6 years, and he's on par with Shannon, who can't come here. Shannon Goshen, of course, has her office in Braxton, Jacksonville, Florida, but Richard's been here, and he's consented to come on into our office. We're looking forward, really, to having Richard come aboard today, and you'll be hearing a lot from him. We'll bring him on the radio show frequently to discuss this FSM, frequency-specific microcurrent track that we're taking. If you have heard already, and many of you have, about frequency-specific microcurrent, and you want to get more involved, you want to learn more about it, we have training coming up. I have already announced that there will be a conference going to be held in April 10, 11, and 12. For those who want to learn more and be trained in the use of frequency-specific microcurrent, that's the weekend you want to focus on. You want to give us a call here at 724-942-3002 and get enrolled in the training sessions on that weekend. Now, we've divided it up. On the 10th, which is Friday, April 10th, that entire day is going to be spent with laypersons who want to learn about how to use microcurrent for their own particular issues. And that training course will last 1 day only, but it will put you at a level of an understanding and involvement that allows you to literally intervene in what's going on with you and enrich your understanding of how microcurrent can do what it can do. It seemed the next logical thing to do because so many of you show an interest. You were here when Shannon had an impromptu invite she put out on the radio on a Saturday morning. We packed our office. We couldn't get another person in here because you responded. And she told you then that there will be up-and-coming conferences and training programs. Well, this is it. So if you're interested, as I said, call us up at 724-942-3002. You want to talk to Sister Sarah. She's sort of handling that thing, and she'll get you channeled in to be participating in the Friday conference. And then if you are on the practitioner side of the equation, and so your goals and objectives are to treat not necessarily yourself, although you very well might, but to treat others, you need to be a part of an understanding of frequency-specific microcurrent that allows you to do the programming in conjunction with medical expertise. So that's going to be a 2-day training. That's going to be on Saturday the 11th and then half a day on Sunday the 12th. So a day and a half for practitioners. I guess we'll call it part one because I can't see one course and one course only just being the begin all and end all for frequency specific, but at least it's our starter set, and it's going to be held on April 11th and 12th. If you are a practitioner, you think you are using microcurrent now, or maybe you're just electrical stim now, because those are the more common units that have been out there, and you're a physical therapist, or you're a chiropractor, you're any one of those, you got to get involved with frequency-specific microcurrent and the training from Shannon, who is, I think she has been designated the #1 trainer for the ceramic making courses held on the East Coast. So she has ascended to a level of being identified by Carol, who's she's probably at the forefront of most of what we learned about microcurrent nowadays. And Shannon was her chief training person, go-to person, and she's going to be here in Pittsburgh helping us get along the way. I think we're going to be so far ahead of other parts of the country, as we should be, but stay tuned to this station and keep on participating as we provide you the opportunity to participate in your own treatment with frequency-specific microcurrent. Top docs, we got the book, Top 20 Alternative Medical Doctors Met in Phoenix, Arizona in the summer of 2014. From it came 20 chapters in a book that we all wrote a chapter in, and the book came together very nicely. The conference that developed because of that book is now infamous and available on DVD. But the book itself, a little bit of a memento, a keepsake, a one of a kind, so to speak. We now have multiple copies available here in the office. Give us a call, 724-942-3002. Better that you come on and pick a copy up as opposed to having a sentence, because they already told me the shipping is $6. You don't want to pay that. Okay. What else? Once you get a copy of the winter edition of the Lifestyle Journal, and get the article on frequency-specific microcurrent, it will iron out the bumps. This sometimes gets complicated in how does microcurrent work. I think I reduced it to the fundamentals to such a level that you will appreciate starting there. And of course, as your enrichment continues to be inputted by other sources of information, that basic information can be built on, but you have to start at a beginning point. And I think we've reduced it to that. Get a copy. We have multiple copies here we can give you for free just by stopping in. They're also found in many health food stores throughout the area and multiple practices. The winter edition of the Lifestyle Medical Journal, and we'll let it go at that. I'm looking into March. I do see the beginning of March, which, by the way, is next week. This is the last week in the month of February of 2015. We flipped the page this weekend, and February 1 will be coming up this Sunday. Susie Weiss will be our Monday guest. She's first Monday always, and then she'll be in the office on Thursday at 10 o'clock. For those of you who want to learn more about the oils, the essential oils, and then Dr. Boom herself, Susan Smith-Jones, will be our guest on Wednesday, March 4th. I should also mention, if you're interested in the eye protocol, the 3-day treatment program in the month of March, the date for that 3-day event will be March 23rd, 24th, and 25th. If you have eye issues, that's plenty of time to get your decision made, get the records in, get Dr. Condrat, who is involved with every single patient that we treat, so that he has your records, and be ready to kick it off on 23, 24, and 25 for the 3-day treatment program from March 2015. I also see, what do I see here? Mind Body Conference held at La Roche on the 13th and 14th, and the Young Living Conference at the Embassy Suites on the 14th of March. We'll have more from Susie Weiss reporting. For those of you who'd like to learn more about Young Living, I think they're having their own conference, the big one, lasts an entire day, a Saturday, on Saturday, March 14th at the Embassy Suites out there in the Coriopolis, near the old airport. There's still one airport, by the way. There's not two. It's just the old roads versus the new roads. Anyway, enough on it. Let's do this. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I'm going to start to try to bring you up to speed on what happened in the Big D, little A, double L, A, S, Dallas conference that we just finished on ozone therapy. It's an annual event. All ozone doctors were in attendance. We learned so much from one another. I'll see if I can pass it on to you. Be right back in a moment with the Dallas Report.
You become confused about
Dr. Courtney.
Yes.
Richard Finn, was he supposed to be on?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today, the Monday morning version of the show, and just straight back from a large conference held on the ozone therapy in Dallas, Texas, and really do intend, you stay tuned now, to hear the report on what happened in Dallas. But of course, today's another big day for other reasons. We've been really immersed in frequency-specific microcurrent as a modality to help our patients with so many different medical maladies. Chronic pain, of course, being one of them, but so many organic issues can be treated with FSM also. As I mentioned earlier, we turn the page today in a new chapter here in the office because we start a relationship with a clinician who's been working with this type of device for the last 6 years at least, and has ascended to a level of understanding and appreciation. I'm just going to really enjoy having Mr. Richard Finn around for quite a while. So on his way in today, he's given us a call. He's sort of checking in. I think it's great that on the day that he begins, we reintroduce him, because he was on our show not too long ago. We reintroduce him to you and say, good morning, Mr. Finn. How's the ride in today?
You know, we're going to find out. I'm about to hit the parkway and do whatever I got to do to get in there today to meet some people.
Well, Richard, we really are looking forward to this new chapter that we're starting today. You're way ahead of the curve, or certainly my learning curve. I'm going to enjoy collaborating with you, maybe from the perspective of a listener who hasn't heard about our previous show, that wasn't listening. What can you tell our listeners now that may be dangling a little bit of a carrot out there to say, you want to learn more about frequency-specific microcurrent? How is it that you found to be helpful? What do you intend to be able to do here in my office as you now begin coming? You're going to be here 2 days a week, Mondays and Thursdays. What kind of experience can one expect if they ask to see you, or if I determine that they need to see you? What's going to happen?
You know, what's going to happen is they're going to get a very serious conversation about whatever their concern is. And I think that's probably the most important thing that happens, because if somebody tells me that they've got low back pain, that's a wonderful thing, but I want to know a lot about that low back. I want to know when it happened, what they were doing when it happened, what was their life about when that happened, because there are many, many elements that enter into a pain situation that oftentimes do not get addressed. And the beauty of the frequency-specific microcurrent is it gives us a tool for addressing things that are very rarely, if ever, addressed in other treatment situations. So expect, number one, a really important history. That's the primary thing that happens on that first visit. And it's got to happen, because if I don't know what the issues are, I'm not going to be as helpful. And the beauty of that first visit is not only do I get to do that history, but I get to piggyback on the information that you have already drawn out. So that people are already going to have a very good diagnosis. I need to know what's around that diagnosis.
You know, that is such a rarity. It could be the emotional status at the time, the emotional status now, other diseases that commingle with it. These are all things that really don't get addressed in the conventional medical arena, but because frequency-specific is so all-inclusive, you can program every one of those items into the overall program, meaning that that patient has unique experiences that only they have had, and each one of those experiences weigh in on their whole, if it's a pain problem, on their whole pain problem, or if it's an organic problem, so be it too. And these don't get addressed. The fact that they can be addressed all and wrapped up into one is an exciting new realm and dimension that says this will be able to bring you back to a level of normal functioning that you just haven't been able to experience, and you were never going to experience unless someone took these things into account. Frequency specific allows you to do just that, and that's why that first appointment is so important. So a lengthy history is what they can expect. What else can they expect on the first time?
Well, they're going to get some physical evaluation, because what I really like to see is how has this condition affected their body. Because one of the most amazing things about this is when we treat, we tend to see very quick results. So I can begin a treatment with a particular posture or movement availability. After the treatment, oftentimes that changes dramatically. And one of the things, and it might be a range of motion test. Let's say somebody had a concussion. I might have them write a paragraph or a sentence, and then following the treatment, I'll have them write that same thing down again, and the handwriting will improve during that period of time that it took that to happen. And so the beauty of this is oftentimes what you see is a change right now. And I think that's incredibly important for people to be able to see very quickly, are we having an effect?
I think that is a great point of emphasis that we should re-emphasize, really, in that when you use frequency-specific microcurrent, now I've learned from you and from Shannon, and you both have convinced me well enough that this you can take to the bank, that when you come up with a program, whatever frequencies you've decided on, there must be, I underline the word, must be some improvement that the patient can verify that points to the fact that the frequencies are the right ones. I think the worst thing would be to come up with a set of frequencies and nothing happen. That's where you'd have to go back to the drawing board. Am I right about, Mr. Finn, the fact that expect that there's got to be some changes, they got to be positive, and they should be happening at treatment number one? If not, you got to go back to the drawing board and come up with a set of frequencies that will turn the tide. Am I right?
And that is the beauty of this whole thing is that, you don't have to keep on waiting to see whether or not it's going to work. And again, if perchance we were to totally miss this on the first try, we would talk a little bit more and tweak the programs. And again, if you don't do this over and over and over and not get results, we find out relatively quickly. And then if we know that it's working, then the patient has the ability to actually purchase one of the units, so they don't have to become dependent on us, but they can actually go home and take care of themselves. That is huge.
Another big point. Ultimately, yes. If you can get a good response and it's working and we feel it's working, I mean, you could come back and we'll let you utilize our devices here. But I think everybody reaches a point where they go, hey, this thing is paying off for me in a way nothing ever has before. Can I actually be able to do this to me, for me at home? Can I get one of these units? And that, of course, is the beauty about this. This is a take-home. You can purchase one of these. You can get this kind of treatment at home and continue to improve literally around the clock at home rather than some scheduled time here in my office. A beautiful part of the program. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Okay, I was trying to dart between traffic.
Oh, okay. But
yeah, I think that when people get that control, that is a life-changing type of thing. When a person becomes injured or sick, their whole life changes because oftentimes they get stuck in a particular lifestyle where now all of a sudden they don't go to work anymore, and now they have to pick people up or take care of the kids or other things like that. But when you get that locus of control back, then for me, that has been the most amazing thing for so many people, because it's pretty much, it gives them their life back. It gives them that locus of control that everybody wishes they had.
Well, Richard, we are so looking forward to you kicking it off with us today. Most of the patients you'll be seeing these next few weeks are patients that I've already been treating for quite some time. I know them very well. I think that we should probably mention that's the prerequisite. When you want to see Richard, if you've never established here, the first person you're going to see is me. And we're going to get through some illumination of your problem so that I can come up with the initial diagnoses and then have a discussion with Richard to see what we can glom on and add to that, or that he might feel that in his history taking I missed, and vice versa, so that by the time those first frequencies are determined, quite a bit of information has been gathered. So if we've never met before and you want to come in to see Richard, you'll have to see me first, and then you'll see Richard. If you have known me before, then we actually can circumvent that first encounter, because we've had many encounters before, and move directly to Richard. Anyway, you want to give us a call at 724-942-3002 and set up those first appointments. Richard, careful on the way in today with your driving. Parkway West. You say Parkway West? Is that where you at? Where you at? East.
Oh, I'm Parkway East.
You got the Squirrel Hill Tunnel. So you three of those things yet?
No, I'm in Monroeville.
Oh goodness, I know that. It's your holy grail. Good luck. Careful coming in. I'll see you when you arrive, Richard.
Okay, Doc. We'll see you then.
All right. Thank you very much. There you have it. Richard Finn plowing his way on in here. On day one, we launched the frequency-specific microcurrent collaboration today. And I'll continue to report back to you as we have an interesting case or two. I'm sure I'll share it with you here on the radio. But new chapter today in the office. If you have an interest, 724-942-3002. Okay, let's take another short break. And when we return, we'll switch some gears from FSM to O3, which is Ozone, and the Ozone Report. We just came back from Dallas, and they were all there, folks, all the practitioners throughout the entire country. They are excited. I'll describe it when I come back. A bunch of happy people, because I'm looking at doctors' faces, and they ain't too happy anymore. Be right back. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on a Monday morning version of this show. We've just returned back from the annual Ozone Conference in Dallas, Texas, and I thought I would, as I normally do, share with you a lot of what I took in over these last 3 days while I was in Dallas. Giving you an idea of what is new and happening out there in the world of ozone treatment, and getting you ready for some wonderful guests that have consented to come aboard and tell their story and give their message It's just the way it usually works when I attend the conference. I'm usually at the corner of the stage. As they're coming off the stage, I'm there to request the opportunity to interview them on the show, and they're very cordial about that invitation. And I haven't been turned. I don't think I've ever directly been turned down. Anyway, as normally what happens too is these gentlemen and ladies have to go home. They don't have their schedules with them, so we can't schedule them just at that moment. But I'll let you know who are the up and comings after we get some preliminaries out of the way. Now, Frank Schallenberger, who you all know very well in Pittsburgh, and he was on our show over a year ago. Okay, it was in January of 2014. He was here January, February, and April. And in those 3 months, he put 3 shows together that still live in infamy around here. They're on the website. You can go to YouTube and just dial in Courtney / Schallenberger / Ozone, and those 3 shows come right up. And you can listen to all 3. If you come to my office and you're a patient of mine, I'll give you a free disc so that you can listen to the 3 shows at your will and don't have to necessarily be connected to the computer to do so. Anyway, Frank was feeling pretty good about the whole affair, and the group just has grown. As I said a moment ago, I'm not so sure that this venue is going to be able to handle even next year's program because it grew so much. They're burgeoning at the seams. The lecture room just only has a couple more slots. I mean, once they get beyond it, they have to move to another facility. But be that as it will, these were happy people, just almost to the person. You could feel the energy. It was palpable in that room. Doctors having positive things to say about something that they do, making them quite proud about the ability to provide patients with relief for so many things. We'll talk about some of them. And I looked at that in stark contrast to what I believe are so often a bunch of upset, uptight physicians. My conventional colleagues are not happy. I can understand why they're not happy, because that medicine that they were trained to use really doesn't work. It works if you need tertiary care, if you have an acute myocardial infarction, or you have a stroke, or you get hit by a car, or you fall down a set of steps. Yeah, I got you. We got the greatest medicine in the world, no doubt about it. But if you've got chronic disease, you're going nowhere with conventional treatment. It's not intended for that purpose. And I can just see for 2 reasons. One, these doctors work with the same patients who get no better, and the relationship is a strong one. It continues for many years. But what you end up seeing is a person who just either quickly or rapidly slides down a hill as they're under your care. You're taking care of them. I mean, the intention, I think, on the part of the patient is, I'm seeing this doctor because I'd like for him to treat and make me better. I don't know when the realization finally hits for both you as the patient and the doctor that that's not in the cards. You're not going to get any better, that you're more than likely are going to get worse. It's just a matter of it's going to be a quick process or a slow one. And over the years, this works at both levels and just grinds away. The relationship deteriorates, the patient deteriorates, and I think the rest is history. This does not do well in trying to promote a very positive attitude on the part of the doctor, who gets rather depressed about the whole thing. The second reason why he's really depressed is this thing with governmental intervention in what he does. The insurances dictate everything. He really can't do that which he would like to do. The insurance companies have a hold on him. Medical boards have a hold on him. Protocols have a hold on him. And to try to break out of that turns out to be an impossible fact. And for that reason, doubly depressed. I looked at that room on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and there were a bunch of happy people in there because they have broken the bounds, and the things that we do aren't under control of medical boards. In fact, we have to work under an IRB, which is an institutional review board, with full permission and consent of the FDA, so as to be able to do what we do, and we are protected by that IRB to be able to provide these services and these treatments because of that protection, because medical boards, especially this medical board, Pennsylvania, is very onerous, not real happy about the whole idea with ozone therapy. Anyway, everybody in the room was, and you could see it because they're treating people and they're getting better. And it doesn't take them too long to make those turnarounds and to get better. And that's why the organization is growing. That's why Frank gets a bigger smile on his face with each passing day, because he truly is the one person who made it all happen. Over 30 years worth of work. Frank needs to be saluted for what he's done. Now, obviously, with an event like this, we got a lot of great radio shows coming up. As I told you, being these speakers had to return home. Their schedules are sitting at home, and so I've got a bunch of cards and phone numbers written down that's going to be making me busy this week to get them scheduled. But as I do, I'll let you know who and when these folks are going to be coming on the show to bring their message that they brought. Most of these were actual speakers at the program. Some of them were just old friends. They didn't speak, but their message is so powerful, I asked them to come back, and they are going to come back. So, speaking of the old friends, let's go tick through a list of people that I think you know, and that were absolutely there, and that will be coming back on the radio show. An old friend, the gentleman who actually was on our show just about a year ago, because I met him at the first Ozone conference I attended last year. And it's this natural piggyback therapy that when you're doing IV ozone, the last thing that needs to happen is the IV line needs to pass through his ultraviolet blood irradiation box and impart frequencies to that blood that give a whole host of additional benefits that ozone alone, although they do, when they combine these two therapies of ozone therapy, and in particular treatment is major autohemotherapy, where you're giving it IV. When you couple that with ultraviolet blood irradiation, this double whammy just is exponentially improved versus doing one of those treatments alone. When you put them together, it's just wonderful things happen. Tom Lowe is coming back. He's the doctor. UBI, all things UBI. Tom Lowe is the expert. I thought it was interesting the name of the IV tubing that we have to use, and we have to purchase this from Tom, are called cuvettes. And he manufactures the cuvettes, and I thought it was interesting that he had just ordered 30,000 of them for 2015. That's how many treatments he anticipates are going to be given in the United States, and he said that's easily 3 times what they have been in the past. So more on Tom, more from Tom on ultraviolet blood irradiation. He was certainly an old friend who was there. An old friend, and I mean many years ago. It's been so long, you're not going to remember having heard him on the radio show, but his name is Victor Maciel Vega. He just a fascinating guy. It's an oncologist who has gone crossed over from the dark side to the light side and treats alternatively using so many different therapies. I guess the reason why I lost track with Victor, and I had no idea what happened to him. Turns out Victor moved to Puerto Rico. He's been holed up there for 11 years. And now he's back and on the lecture circuit, and he's going to be coming on our show to talk about what he spoke on at the conference and just about everything else that he does. He does so many things. Dr. Victor Maciel Vega. Oh, these two. They were Drs. Robert Rowan and Dr. Harold Robbins have turned into quite the team. These are the two doctors who headed on off to Sierra Leone a few months ago and intended to help train doctors in the use of ozone therapy to correct Ebola. Now, he spent a lot of time talking about theoretically why it should be that ozone therapy should be able to conquer Ebola because of its antiviral properties. But the two of them took an entire hour to spend time recapping their entire, debacle, crusade, whatever you want to call it, over in Sierra Leone. It turned out to be a political nightmare. We were getting blurbs from email that sounded mostly positive. Turns out that the government darn near arrested them both. This is politically a hot potato. They didn't seem like, the government, at least, the official government, wasn't interested in hearing anything about ozone, yet the success stories have still come through. I thought a number of doctors that they were trained to use ozone that then contracted Ebola themselves, and the only two that consented to have ozone therapy, those two are still alive today. The other doctors, now imagine the many doctors who are dying over there that refused or weren't permitted to receive because the government would allow them the ozone therapy, they all died. The two that used ozone therapy, both alive. I'll let Doctors Rowan and Robbins talk to you about that. I thought it was an interesting hour to have them recap it. Another old friend in the crowd, Dr. Jerry Tennant, was there. Now, it's really interesting because Jerry, his practice, and you know, Healing is Voltage, Dr. Jerry Tennant, the one that's been on our show 3 different times, and it's another set of 3 shows that set a new parameter around here. You all enjoyed him, and you keep talking about Dr. Jerry Tennant to this very day. He presented to a group of doctors who had never really heard about microcurrent before, and he had a fantastic impact on them, especially when he opened up his lecture by saying, you're all ozone doctors. The reason that ozone works as well as it does, now you'd expect this from Jerry Tennant, is that ozone is an electron donor. To Jerry, it's all pluses and minuses. It's voltage, it's negative voltage, it's positive voltage, it's pH. It's all reduced to that level of science. And he says the reason that ozone works so well, it's one of those few therapies that actually contribute electrons. And if you can bring electrons into the system, you will heal. Healing is voltage. He stole the show. And the interesting part about it is we were in Jerry Tennant's backyard. He told me that his office was about 12 miles away from where we were that weekend, and the majority of people who were listening to Jerry for the first time had never heard of Jerry Tennant before, and they certainly got an eyeful and an earful from the great one himself. And he has consented to go back on the show, and we'll be really looking forward to do just that. There were new friends that we acquired, and the new friends, I'm very fascinated, and we'll look forward to bringing them to you. One such new friend with a very powerful message, especially as many times as the word detox, heavy metal detox, the word detox being used in a sentence may be one of the most frequently used terms by anybody who's pursuing an alternative approach to their medical problem. It's just a staple item. You better be able to detox and detox well, because it's half of the battle, getting nutrients in and the bad stuff out. I never had a guy explain the detoxification pathways as well as Christopher Shade. He is, I don't know if he's a president of, certainly he sits on the board of a company called Quicksilver Scientific. Anyway, Christopher promised to come on the show, and in his best layman's voice, try to describe this thing and really make you sophisticated in being able to appreciate how detoxification occurs. and that it can be done without the use of drugs at all, which I think for heavy metals is a revelation that you all deserve to hear. Now, another fella. I've heard about him before. His name is Dr. Philip Mollica. And he is a New Jersey dentist that with his partner has spread all over the country training doctors, dentists now, in using ozone. And I got a message for you folks. You know how and I think this has been a gospel. You could take it to the bank, especially since the great Hal Huggins came up with this, that every root canal was a bad thing, that all root canals are bad, and that when you have a root canal, you just have to pull the tooth. No way you can make a root canal better. I have a new message, and not only is it a message that falls short, I saw the documentation that make this an accurate message, which is, first of all, if you have a painful tooth, and the two options that you think are available, which are you either pull it or you do a root canal, there's actually a third option. And you need to know that there's a way to rid yourself of the infection through the use of ozone that allows you to get rid of the infection without ever requiring the root canal to begin with. So that's something that's interesting that I need for you to hear. The second thing is, so many people already have root canal teeth. It is their understanding, certainly I found it to be just universal, that if you have a root canal tooth, there's no way that you can turn it around. You have to extract it. You got to pull it. Hey, turns out, no you don't. Now, that message sounded a little quirky to me, but when you saw the evidence and saw how ozone restored teeth to their normal function, hey folks, it's actually happening. It actually can be done. Dr. Philip Mollica is going to be my guest in one of the up-and-coming shows. As soon as he gets back to New Jersey, we'll set that up. That you actually can avoid the root canal to begin with, and if you do it, you can actually do it safe. And if you have it, you don't necessarily have to have it extracted in order to rectify the problem. 3 things I thought were completely impossible, never heretofore been even rumored to be a way to deal with root canal teeth. You're going to enjoy the message from Dr. Philip Mollica when he comes on the show, and I'm hoping to be able to book him soon. Next new guy. Now, he's not a new guy to me, because it seems like every conference I go to, Nathan Bryan is there. He was there last year. He is the fellow who put together the pathway for nitric oxide, and he is the inventor, collaborator of this product called Neo 40. I'm going to bring him back on the show because he's talking great things about Neo 40, and to be able to increase nitric oxide level in a way that's safe and measurable through those test strips. That's all his baby. He put that together. I probably should have had him on the show prior to this, but I'll bring him on the show now. Nathan Bryan, an up-and-coming guest. Another guest. Now, he was on the marquee last year. He came back. They had not just a lecture. They had an entire workshop on Lyme's disease. His name is Dr. David Minchak. He has his practice down in the Clearwater, St. Pete, Clearwater area, and he will come aboard to talk about Lyme disease, and he's got some pretty good suggestions for what to do with it. Now, I remember asking Frank on one of my radio shows, every time Frank you mentioned one thing, Frank would say, well, you use ozone for that. And then a little while later, you'd say, well, Frank, what about this? And then he would say, oh, no, you use ozone for that. And then it was like ozone for this, and it was ozone for that. And finally, I just came out and asked the question. I said, hey, Frank, is there anything that you can't treat with ozone and not make better? And honestly, the answer to his question was, well, no, ozone can be used to treat anything. Well, I thought it was humorous that internationally now there are people, one from Italy and another from South Africa, who literally came and without being prompted by Frank, almost used the same phrase verbatim, that you can use ozone for everything. And then besides just saying that, started to present some very unique ways that they personally use ozone, provided us with the research and the documentation for how well they work. Some of them you'll absolutely feel that, well, you would expect ozone to work. Others, I wouldn't have expected. So the ones that make some sense already would be any microbial infections. Obviously, ozone, especially teamed with ultraviolet blood irradiation, is going to do a fantastic job. But the topical exposure to ozone, there are these units. They're called HOCAT, HOCATT. I don't remember what the HO and the CAT stands for, but I can tell you that these devices are becoming very popular. They can be placed in the home where you sit into a sauna. Now the head's exposed. That's the one thing about ozone. You can't be breathing that ozone gas in. That can cause some respiratory problems. But these saunas are plexiglass or some sort of fiberglass component, and they pretty much close you in. The head is exposed; it's out, and then but the entire body is exposed to ozone gas that's being pumped into the unit, and this topical exposure ozone gets soaked up into the skin. And what a great way of getting ozone gas into the bloodstream. Of course, using it through colonics or rectal insufflation are also big. In the dental application, of course, Richard Malika is going to be sharing how you use ozonated water and ozonated oils in dentistry. The topical application of ozonated oil and ozonated water, also practitioner after practitioner after practitioner spoke of how helpful they have been in treating skin disorders and the like. Then a new paper came out that puts ozone in a completely different category than it ever been put before, and that is the aesthetic uses of ozone. It turns out that a paper was written that shows that ozone improves fibroblast growth. And what that will do will tighten up skin and remove wrinkles. And some of these before and after pictures were just stunning. And there's no surgery that was used for like these facelifts or other areas of the body. I have to bring that message to you in the next few months. Here's one. Completely caught me off guard. Hair restoration. I never would have thought ozone to be used for that. And I always sort of giggle because whenever I see commercials, on television and so forth for hair restoring, it's pretty difficult for me to see the before and after changes amounting to much. It just doesn't register that after all that time, or use it whenever you're using, the hair regrowth factor isn't anywhere near what one would like it to be. Oh my goodness, did that change when the doctor from Italy and the one from South Africa showed that tremendous hair growth comes from ozone therapy. I promise to explore it in 2015. Herpes zoster, conquerable in greater than 95% of the time. Herpes simplex, hepatitis C, MS, these are all therapies utilizing ozone that were documented by papers written by the doctors. I promise to bring them to you. So this is now coming out of the anecdotal. Anecdotal, is whenever you don't have a research paper and don't have any parameters set up and hypotheses set up. But whenever you have set up the right research programs, you move from the anecdotal into the scientific realm. And I thought that Frank Schallenberger has brought it to the forefront now. Papers are being written. They're being written worldwide. The research is being done worldwide. And the proof by the work done by these doctors is now available for everybody, and I promise to bring you them in 2015. The papers are ready to prove what we already knew intuitively, and that people have been responding. You didn't really need a paper if you were afflicted in some way, and then you got better through the use of ozone. The papers don't mean much to you, but for the skeptic out there, and there's certainly got to be a number of you that just go, hey, how could that be? How could there something like that even be around? And my doctor doesn't even know about it. Well, count on the fact that he doesn't know about it. He's not going to know about it. And stay tuned to hear. All right. Bill has banged on the door to let me know it's our time out of here. Enjoy your day today. Keep warm. We look forward to Richard slowly coming in the rest of the way today. I'll report back on Wednesday on how that went. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AIM Impact on Your Health.